Welcome to our World Series special edition of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, Managing Partner of 76 Capital, the sports tech venture capital company. And today I'm excited to welcome Scott Sadin, the COO of IC360, the leading sports betting and gaming integrity, compliance, and education company. And it's great to have you back on the show, Scott. It's awesome to have you here. We're going to discuss the business side of sports. We're going to as well as everything that's going on with the World Series today. We'll talk about ticket prices, players' salaries, viewership, the overall business, but of course, the sports betting side of things and how that really shows how much people are engaging with the World Series. Please make sure you subscribe to our show. You can do that on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our 76 Capital website. And let's get right to it. Scott, welcome back to our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate you having me back. And it's certainly a fun topic. I don't think I'm breaking any news here, and that this is the dream matchup for a World Series that you possibly could have asked for as a fan or as a member of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you got these are like the two heavyweights, right? I mean, got both coasts represented. It's pretty amazing to see, and MLB must be very happy.
It's not just huge markets, it's just enormous names, right? Anytime you have New York and Los Angeles, obviously everyone's excited, but the fact that you have Soto and Judge and Freeman and Betts and Ohtani and others, it's, as I said, a dream matchup.
Well, we're taping this on Monday, October 28th, and the Dodgers took care of business on the West Coast over the weekend, but now the series shifts to New York. They're playing your guys, and how do you feel about this? I mean, have you always been a Yankees fan, or what's the?
Well, so my parents actually, ironically, both grew up across the street from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx in the late 50s, early 60s, and so my mom fondly remembers times in which she would, sneak into Yankee Stadium to watch Mickey Mantle play, who's her favorite athlete of all time. And so I'm in the fortunate position to work at IC360, and we've got, fantastic relationships with sports properties across the globe, and Major League Baseball is a fantastic client, and we're able to go to Game 4 tomorrow. And so I'm able to take my mom, and should be a great game. But obviously, from a personal perspective, I'm certainly hoping that the Yankees can take care of business at home in Game 3 and make it an interesting matchup of Game 4 Tuesday night. But we'll see.
That's amazing. I didn't realize your parents grew up right there. I'll never forget my dad used to talk about growing up on 163rd Street and Grand Concourse, like right there.
There you go.
That was.
There you go. So we're excited. We're hopeful, as I said, we're hopefully going to take care of business tonight in Game 3, and then we'll see how Game 4 goes. But you know what they say: a series doesn't start until the home team loses, and so there's no doubt the pressure is on tonight. But we'll see how they perform.
Well, Scott, I mean, as COO of IC360, I mean, you guys are the leading sports betting and gaming integrity, compliance, education company. I mean, you must be seeing so much action from a betting perspective. I mean, as you said, you've got the biggest names in baseball are facing off against each other. You've had some unbelievable games and moments that have occurred. What are you seeing from the overall, betting perspective?
Well, so generally speaking, and this is something that we certainly keep a close eye on at IC360, particularly within the integrity division, because as you can imagine, evaluating what we expect handle or number of dollars to be wagered on not just events, but markets, it's a very important metric. And then establishing or evaluating where there might be some deviation expected number. And generally speaking, so far in 2024, we've seen around a 20%-ish increase in handle on like every sport, every market. Obviously, some are getting more, some are getting slightly less, but generally speaking, when you average everything out, we're seeing around 20 to 30% increased handle. And I think in the playoffs thus far, which have obviously been extremely exciting, Major League Baseball playoffs, that number is higher. And so call it 30 to 40% in increased handle. It's only been 2 games in the World Series thus far, and so it's difficult to totally quantify, but around 40 to 45% increase in number of dollars wagered in comparison to last year. Again, that's an estimate, but one of the markets that we're certainly seeing some action coming in now is series to go to 7, because I think a lot of folks are seeing a 2-0 deficit, and whether they're Yankee fans or not, they're recognizing that if the Yankees are going to get back into contention in this, it's going to go to 7, right? It's doubtful they win 4 in a row. And so I think, Yankees fans are starting to pour some money in on Yankees to win in 7 at around 6-1, which is interesting because I think on the series price altogether, they're around plus 380. And so if you do think they're going to come back and win, again, 6-1 to win at 7 is an interesting market to look at. So that's some of the stuff that we're seeing. Obviously, the World Series generally gets a larger catalog of prop markets and derivative markets offered. It's not exactly the Super Bowl where you have hundreds, if not thousands, but we are seeing some pretty unique markets offer. Ohtani to throw a pitch, for an example, is an interesting one and something that's certainly unique to the World Series. And so, that's some of the stuff that's going on in the monitoring world.
Well, it's fascinating. I mean, just to think about to talk about the different props. I mean, Ohtani throwing a pitch, or just any of the big names that are out there. I'm sure there was, everyone's waiting for Judge's first home run, and there's a bunch of fun stuff that'll happen. But before we get to that, I really actually wanted to talk about the fact that, for everyone listening or watching, we talk about 2 heavyweight teams playing each other from both coasts, but only one of the states has legalized sports betting. So if in the future California has legalized sports betting, these numbers would just be exorbitant.
Absolutely, and I think we've certainly seen the growth in number of states, number of jurisdictions to come on with regulated sports betting, at least in the U.S., slow pretty significantly over the last 12 months. I think that's for a variety of reasons, most significantly because so many legalized in the first 5 years post-PASPA, right? We're up to 39 jurisdictions that's inclusive of the District of Columbia. And so I think, generally speaking, when we see significant handle increases in 2024, that's not really a direct result of more states coming on or more jurisdictions coming on with regulated sports betting. It's a result of increased engagement, more people either realizing they can bet or more people being interested in betting. And I think as a result of that, as I said, we've seen increased handle. So it's a lot of just more engagements, a lot of more people betting more dollars. But to your point, California is going to be at some point, whenever that is, who knows, the largest state in terms of handle whenever it does come online. But as you've pointed out, New York right now is the number 1 spot.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to what that could look like. But at the same time, to just think from 6 years ago, where legalized sports betting was basically only in the state of Nevada, where you had about under $10 billion bet. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the stats are that we'll have over $150 billion bet this year across these 39 jurisdictions.
Yep. And so we're seeing increased growth even without additional states coming online, but there certainly are some states that are on at least contemplating it for legislation in 2025, and we'll see. And as I'm sure the audience of this show knows, California is still likely going to be a little ways off, but we'll see. You never know.
You really don't. I mean, but getting back to sort of the games themselves, right? I mean, and what's going on. I mean, it's fascinating to see the superstars, the Ohtanis, the Betts, the Judge, the Stantons. I mean, Yamamoto. I mean, what he did in game, pitching out, pitching was unbelievable, and even how what a great game Garrett Cole had, but just wasn't enough, right? I mean, so just to think about these names, and then. I mean, I wonder if there was some prop out there or something about Freddie Freeman, hitting a grand slam. I mean, could you imagine that? I mean, and
I know.
you probably should get just some kind of a bonus just because it was in the, the bottom of the 10th. I mean, but I'm sure it was, you didn't love that, but I mean,
It's been again like a star-studded show of athletes, and you can see it, when you just look at the graphics of the salary numbers, jotted down next to some of these key folks, and you go down the list, and it's eye-opening, it's jaw-dropping, and it makes some of the actual numbers of dollars wagered make a little bit more sense, right? Because you've got such star power that reaches so many fans across not just the US, but also the globe.
100%. I mean, that's one of the things that I think that, baseball has really done a really nice job over the last several years of really shifting and sort of flipping the script. There's so many times there were conversations that, oh, baseball's boring. It's a long game. It's this and that. And my God, through innovation and the use of new technology and truly also being one of the real, pioneers when it comes to the overall from a gaming perspective. And always thinking about that. I mean, so what has it been like working with MLB, as closely as you have over the years and seeing, how they've leaned in, how they've been, they just know what they really understand this part of the game so well.
Yeah, I think they have really done a fantastic job of balancing, this new world that we live in, which is the convergence of regulated sports betting across 38, 39 jurisdictions, and protecting the integrity of the game. They invest resources, they allocate humans to ensuring that these things are looked at. They have partnerships. They've been a fantastic client to work with, and I admire their dedication and commitment to this. And our primary working relationship is certainly with sort of the integrity, compliance, and investigations department. And as I said, they are extremely thoughtful, extremely pragmatic. They dedicate, significant resources to these types of topics, and have overall been a fantastic partner for several years.
Well, Scott, as we start to wind down this special edition of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show, I mean, it's great to be able to have this conversation with you, talk about the World Series, talk about, what's happening from a betting perspective with the World Series. But, if you have any other, I'd love for you to share maybe some other things that are happening in the IC360 world and, some of the exciting things that we should all sort of keep our eye on.
Well, college basketball is just about 2 weeks away, if not less. And so that usually means that for around 3 to 4 weeks at IC360, and I think today is, what do they call it? When you've got Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL.
The sports equinox.
The equinox. And so we've got, there's only been, I think, 20 or 30 in history, and we've got one today. And so that's great, but college basketball also starts in 2 weeks. So you're talking about 100 games a day to monitor. And since we work with the majority of collegiate conferences and many individual members of NCAA, we're not slowing down, we're speeding up. We're heading into the holiday season, going 100 miles per hour. So it's very exciting. It's a very fun time to be at the IC360 headquarters. But there's no question it's going to be a busy few weeks with college basketball, college football, finishing up the World Series, NBA season obviously tipped off in the last week or two, NHL, same thing. And college football is really gearing up for a pretty exciting, new and expanding playoff.
I was going to actually ask you that. I mean, this is the first of having 12 teams. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
And we've seen some really significant shifts in the futures market as a result of this, because this is the first time that you can bet on this type of market. We've obviously had 4 teams for several years, but now that's an expanded playoff. There's a lot more nuance and wrinkles associated with it. And so it should be really exciting. I think bowl season is going to be the best and most wagered on that we've seen since pass bowl was repealed.
Well, we'll have to bring you back to have that conversation because, there is so much to discuss. And again, what's so important, and I so appreciate, all the work that you and the team do at IC360 of just making sure that everything is out there, it's safe, people can have a good time, and they know that they can trust everything because of all the integrity and compliance and education that you guys do at IC360. So thanks for all the hard work and everything that you and the team do there.
Of course, absolutely. That's our mission, right? Help the regulated and licensed, sort of operational part of the ecosystem grow and mature successfully. So we're excited for the future, and thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was Scott Sadin, the COO of IC360, on our 76 Capital special edition of our Sports Leadership Show. Thanks again, Scott.
Thanks, Wayne.